Mayi ki jai, Jamuna Mayi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktavind ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari 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 Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Kalshira Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Tira Swami Nitinamani. Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddharthani Sri Gaur Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tiri. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Virayat Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, Texts 6, 7, and 8. So I'll actually chant the two texts, 6 and 7. Then when it comes to 8, we all can join in. Hare Krishna. Mateo Vacham Yadasva Bharya Yasadam Yata Sayambhuvo Manu Pranjali Pranatasjedam Vedagarbham Abhashata. Mateo Vacham. It's okay. Yeah, it's all right. We're going. The word for word. Mateo Vacham, Maitreya said, Yada, when Swabharyaya, along with his wife, Shadam, accompanied by, Jata appeared, Swayambhuva Manu, Manu, the father of mankind, Panjali, with folded hands, Pranata, in obeisances, Cha, also, Idam, this, Vedagarbham, unto the reservoir of wisdom, Abhishata, addressed. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The sage Maitreya said to Vidura, after his appearance, Manu, the father of mankind, along with his wife, thus addressed the reservoir of Vedic wisdom, Brahma, with obeisances and folded hands. Text 7. Tvam eka sarva bhutanam janma krit vittidapita tatapi na prajanam te shushrusha kena va bhavet. Word for word. Tvam, you, eka, one, sarva, all, bhutanam, living entities, janmakrit, progenitor, Vitida, source of subsistence. Pita, the father. Tata, api, yet. Na, ourselves. Prajanam, of all who are born. Te, of you. Shushrusha, service. Kena, how. Va, either. Bhavet, may be possible. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. You are the father of all living entities and the source of their subsistence, because they are all born of you. Please order us how we may be able to render service unto you. Report by Srila Prabhupada. A son's duty is not only to make the father the source of supply for all his needs, but also when he is grown up to render service unto him. That is the law of creation beginning from the time of Brahma. A father's duty is to bring up the son until he is grown, and when the son is grown up, it is his duty to render service unto the father. Text 8. Now, after this one, we can chant. So I'll chant this 3 times. Tadvidehi namastubhyam kamashu dhyatva sakstishu yatkridveha yashu vishvag amutra cha bhaved gati tadvidehi namastubhyam kamashu kamashri dhyatva shaktishu yatkridveha yashu vishvag amutra cha bhaved gati tadvidehi namastubhyam Kamashu idyatma chaktishu yatkridveha yasho vishvag amuta cha bhaved gati. Hare Krishna. So please chant. Anyone?
तद्विधिः नमस्तुभ्यं कर्मा स्विध्यात्मशक्तिषु यत्कृत्वेह यशो विश्वाग् अमुत्रा च भवद्गतिः. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. तद्विदेहि नमस्तुभ्यं कर्मेषु इदात्मा शक्तिषु यत्कृत्वा यशो विश्वाग् अमृता च भवेत् गति. हरे कृष्ण.
हरे कृष्ण. तद्विदेहि नमस्तुभ्यं कर्मस्व इड्यात्मशक्तिषु यत् कृत्वेह यशो विश्वाग् अमुत्र च भवेत् गतिः.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. Tadvidehi namastubhyam karmasvidhyatma shaktishu yakvidveha yasho vishwag amutra cha bhavet gati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. तदिदेहि नमस्तुभ्यं कर्म सिद्धयात्म शक्तिषु यत्कृतवेह यशो विश्वग् मुत्र च भवेद् गतिः. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. Okay, so come back to this. The synonyms: tat, that, videhi, give direction, nama, my obeisances, tubhyam, unto you, karma, shu, in duties, idya, O worshipful one, atma shaktishu, within our working capacity, yat, which, kritva, doing, iha, in this world, yasha, fame, Vishvak, everywhere. Amutra, in the next world. Cha, and. Bhave, it should be. Gati, progress. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Brahma is the direct recipient of Vedic knowledge from the personality of Godhead. And anyone discharging his entrusted duties in disciplic succession from Brahma is sure to gain fame in this life and salvation in the next. The disciplic succession from Brahma is called Brahma Sampradaya, and it descends as follows. Please scroll up a little bit. Brahma, Narada, Vyas, Matvamuni, Punapragya, Padmana, Nihari, Bharava, Akshobhya, Jayatita, Jnana Dayanidhi, Vidyanidhi, Rajendra, Jaidharma, Purushottam, Brahmanya Vyasa Lakshmipati, Madhavendra Puri, Ishwar Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swarup Damodar, and Sri Rupa Goswami and others, Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, Krishna Das Goswami, Narottam Das Thakur, Vishwanath Chakrabarti, Jagannath Das Babaji, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Gaura Krishna Das Babaji, Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. This line of disciplic succession from Brahma is spiritual, whereas the genealogical succession from Manu is material. But both are on the progressive march towards the same goal of Krishna consciousness. Om Ganati Virandasya, Gana Ganashalakaya, Chakshu Umritam Dina Tasma Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manu Vishnam Stapitam Jena Bhutale, Swayam Rupatada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Tapada Kamalam Sri Guru Vaisavamscha. Sri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam. Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhube Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we'll go through the English translation again. So Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 13, and Text 6. The sage Maitreya said to Vidura, after his appearance, Manu, the father of mankind, along with his wife, thus addressed the reservoir of Vedic wisdom, Brahma, with obeisances and folded hands. In text 7, you are the father of all living entities and the source of their subsistence. Because they are all born of you, please order us how we may be able to render service unto you. In text 8, the English translation. O worshipful one, please give us direction, your direction for the execution of duty within our working capacity, so that we can follow it for fame in this life and progress in the next. So the way this is structured, Hare Krishna, the way this is structured is like a request. And of course, we always look at requests, spiritual requests, just like prayers too. So Swayambhuva Manu is making an appeal to Lord Brahma. And many, many times when a spiritually advanced personality is making an appeal, they always praise the person that they're making the appeal with first. That's the first thing. They always talk about the position of that person or the achievement of that person. Then, after that, they put their request forward. And that is something that I think that we all should practice, because that definitely says a lot about our own level of understanding, and also definitely will help us in our advancement. We see advanced devotees do that. which means that is something for us to do also. Of course, there are some things that the spiritual master would tell us to do. That's there, and we benefit tremendously from that. But there are also other things too that we need to learn on our own, basically by following what the experts do. So now we see that, all right, so the way Swayambhuvaman started and the way he addressed Lord Brahma is very, very, very significant. He praised Lord Brahma as practically, without mentioning the word, is practically the original guru. For the material world, that is. The original guru, we give that credit to Lord Balaram or Lord Nityananda. But as far as the material world, he's the first. So he's the one that's teaching everybody else. He meaning Lord Brahma, teaching everybody else. So it is important to also address the person who we want to ask something from with their capacity, with their achievement, with their position, and then we begin to talk about what we need. And also how we address is very important. As Krishna has said in Bhagavad Gita, Tad Vidi Paripatena Paripashtena Sevaya. There's a lot of humility built in there. They said, approach a spiritual master, inquire submissively from him. The first instruction after we approach a spiritual master is to inquire submissively. So the idea of submissively, it means that it has to be a humble person, understanding the position of the spiritual master, and then going on to make whatever the request is. In this case, ask questions. So, to come back to the verse itself, Swayambhuva puts the position of the Lord out first, and then he goes on to say, as the very first text, we'll talk about text 6 first. He says, Manu, the father of mankind, along with his wife, addressed the reservoir of Vedic wisdom, Brahma, with obeisance and then folded hands. Well, we all do this when it comes to obeisances. When our sannyasis approach our spiritual master comes to our temple, we offer obeisances to him. We offer obeisances regularly to see the Prabhupada. And because he's the preeminent Siksha Guru for all members of ISKCON. He's actually the preeminent Siksha Guru for the whole world, but at least in this society, we know that that is the case. Not everybody in the whole world knows that. So we need to that reverence that we give to a person that is senior to us or the most knowledgeable in this case for the material, what is Lord Brahma. That should always be there. So obeisances, folded hands, very, very, very wonderful way in which Manu approached Lord Brahma. And it said later in this text 8 in the purport, we ourselves belong to the Sampradaya for Lord Brahma. How significant that is. So in text 7, you are the father of all living entities. So now Swayambhuva Manu has put his position there. He's put Lord Brahma's position. The father of all living entities. And also the source of their subsistence. Because they're all born of you. Then the prayer comes. Please order us how we may be able to render service unto you. So he's telling Lord Brahma, we are available, my wife and myself, we're available for service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And his devotees, that includes Lord Brahma. So that should be our aim. First, we should be at the aim, that humble understanding of having to serve everybody. Even when we are not talking to someone because they are in one place and we are another place in the temple room, for example, because we meet on Sundays like that. Our mentality should be that we are always ready to serve any devotee that comes into our immediate space. We are also to be very careful to stay away from, depending on how the person comes, something that may be considered offensive. We have to stay away from that. So both should be there. We should be ready to serve, and also we should be ready to protect ourselves from aparat. Remember, we are all conditioned souls. So sometimes somebody comes with a very wonderful idea, or sometimes somebody comes to our space in order to gossip. Both are there, because we're not pure devotees yet. We're just learning, and improving and getting purified as we go on. So for us, at our level, Swayambhuva Manu is highly elevated devotee. His wife is highly elevated devotee. And he addressed Lord Brahma the way he did. But for us, of course, the Prabhupada has already told us, all we have to do is follow it. He says, address each other as Prabhu. So then we address each other as Prabhu. And no matter what it is, or whatever our position is, whether we came to ISKCON and got initiated before the other person did, we still have to refer to them the way our preeminent Shiksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada, has asked us to refer to. And even follow it with, please accept our humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Very important, because it actually puts us in the mindset of humility. And we may think it's not so, oh, well, it's just something that we do. Srila Prabhupada has asked us to do, so we do, and we do, and we do. It's all right. That's just how we do. No. We shouldn't do it in Niyamagraha form, meaning we shouldn't do it just to do it. But we should understand why we're doing it. Respecting each other is very important. At the spiritual level, the highly elevated devotee sees everyone at the spiritual level. And when it comes to the spiritual level, then age goes out the door, because the soul is the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So the soul has been around, the Krishna has been around. Soul is eternal. And every single living entity, let's restrict ourselves to human beings only, because we can communicate well that way. Every human is at that same level spiritually as we are. As we are. So they're not necessarily our juniors at the spiritual level. As far as the body goes, yeah, somebody may be born later than someone else. Someone may be initiated later than someone else. But if we have to grow, then we have to look at everybody at the spiritual level. And at the spiritual level, nobody's senior to anyone else. So we're not saying that at the body level that seniority is not there. It is there. But if we see everyone at the spiritual level, then it becomes easier to respect that person and not think, or not allow Maya to put it, oh, well, he's junior to me by age, or by when he got initiated, or by position in the temple, and so on. Therefore, we should not really go through much of any kind of reverence when we talking to them. We have to be careful. We have to be careful, because Maya always plays tricks with our minds. That's the point we're really making. So, in text 7, Swayambhuva was saying, you are the father of living entities. And then it says, please order us how we may be able to serve you. Remember in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antalila, there's meeting, and it was just a meeting of Ramananda Raya. Lord Chaitanya had actually requested one devotee to read, and the name escapes me, that I'll remember a little later on, hopefully. But Ramananda Raya was supposed to talk about Krishna consciousness, just describe Krishna and Krishna's pastimes. How the interaction happened with Ramananda Raya. Ramananda Raya's servant met this particular devotee and apologized. The name escapes me right now. I have to go through a few. Maybe I can just go through quickly and then get the name. This is not in my notes directly. But the important thing actually is how they related to each other. Something very nice here. Very, very similar to what um, Tambu Manu is also doing, except that they even took it to another level, a high level. Please order me. One person is saying this, the other person is saying the other. What happened is that at first, the name was coming to me, but okay, I apologize. So this particular devotee, I'll just name him like that until Krishna allows me to remember the name. Came to Ramananda Raya's house, and Ramananda Raya was not there at the time. He was in a different place. So of course, he had to wait for Ramananda Raya to come. Ramananda Raya's servant was there, treated him very nicely, very respectfully. And then there was quite a bit of waiting for Ramananda Raya to come. Ramananda Raya is coming, he's coming, he's coming. I remember at that time, they didn't have cell phones or anything. We just call him and say, Prabhu, there's somebody in your house, please, just so you know. That wasn't the case. So you have to wait and wait and wait and wait. Finally, Ramananda Raya gets home and he's told, you have a visitor. You have a visitor. I think the name is Pradyumna Mishra. That is correct. Yeah. So Pradyumna Mishra and Ramananda Raya. So Pradyumna Mishra just waited for quite a while until Ramananda Raya gets home. And so what did Pradyumna Mishra want? He wanted Ramananda Raya to talk about Krishna Katha. Actually, so the beginning of the story is Pradyumna Mishra wanted to know about Krishna, had more information, wanted to have more pastimes told to him about Krishna. He went to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is the one that directed him, go to Ramananda Raya. He says, I myself like to listen to Krishna Katha from Ramananda Raya, so go to him. You could even tell him that I said that you should go to him. So Pradyumna Mishra comes, and Ramananda Raya is not there. Actually, what Ramananda Raya was doing was teaching, believe it or not, a couple of Matajis. Ramananda is a householder, so he can't work with my Matajis, not like sannyasis. So he's teaching them to prepare them for a function involving dance. So he's teaching dance steps and so on to these two Matajis. And so he was, they were practicing from him. So all that time, the Pradyumna Mishra was waiting. That's what was going on with Ramananda's life at that time, the way he was using his service. So he comes back. He's very, very, very happy. He apologizes to Pradyumna Mishra first for holding so long. Then Pradyumna Mishra says not to worry in American terms. But he also says that even while I was waiting, just being in your house has purified me so much. I remember in another situation where Sannyasi visited the house and I was there. In that house, he made a comment that there's a lot of bhakti. He feels, Krishna's presence in that house a lot more. This was in Girinagari. Dhanavi Goswami made that comment. So that's what Pradyumna Mishra also told Ramananda Raya. Now, in fact, he was there to hear about Krishna Katha. So finally, Pradyumna Mishra said what his mission was for coming to the house, but he also begged permission from Ramananda Raya to go back. Why? Because he knew that he had waited a long time, and if they started a conversation, that it would go into the night. And Pradyumna Mishra, is being more sensitive to Ramananda Raya getting enough rest at night. And since Ramananda Raya had come that late, then Pradyumna Mishra begged to leave and then come back the next day. Ramananda Raya again apologized that he could not serve Pradyumna Mishra then. But the point that we're making here is the way they related to each other, how apologetic they were to each other. Normally, so-called normally, in the way we do things, if you have to wait in somebody's house for a long time, usually the person gets into anxiety. When is this person going to come? It's late and so on. Sometimes they don't even wait. They go, all right, so we waited a long time. So I'll just go home. You can tell the servant. You can tell the servant when Ramananda comes. Presumably he was here, but he's left now. And then the feelings will be different. But Pradumna Mishra was patient and waited for Ramananda to come. Because after all, it's his house. He's going to come back to take rest at the very least. So he would return. And also, Ramananda Pradumna Mishra was sensitive to the time. And maybe if he starts Krishna Katha, Ramananda might wind up being even too tired. He's already been teaching dance, and now this one, and then going to bed late. So that's why he left. The next day, Lord Chaitanya saw Pradumna Mishra and he wanted to find out what he had heard that night from Ramananda Rai. So Pradumna Mishra had to tell him what happened. Actually, he was gone for a while, so we didn't have the conversation. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I really would like you to hear more about Krishna. Now, Pradumna Mishra, he wanted to hear about Krishna. Now Lord Chaitanya is insisting that he must definitely hear it. So go back today also. And again, use my name, saying that I'm the one that's asked you to come back to here. So Pradumna Mishra returned, and this time Ramananda Rai was home. Again, how they talk to each other. You are my master. Please order me. Both of them said that to each other. One side, one instance in the conversation, because I'm not bringing the details of it, but one side of the conversation, it was Ramananda Rai that was putting himself as just a servant, and Pradumna Mishra, he elevating Pradumna Mishra. And another time, Pradumna Mishra was elevating Ramananda Rai. It was very sweet exchange. And so rather than have negative feelings towards each other because of the things that happen, since we are not pure devotees, we should ignore that. Ignore the negative things. We may see it in but not make a big deal of it. But push the positive, because it has a very, 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 very big advantage of making the relationships very, very, very nice, consistently and extensively nice. Excuse me. So, the other thing that Swabhu said to Brahma, you are the main, everybody came from you, and the material world came from you. Do service. Let us do service for you. Now, in text 8, it says, please give us your direction for the execution of duty within our working capacity so that we can follow it for fame in this life and progress in the next. Please give us direction for execution of duty within our working capacity. This one is good for our leaders. So Swayambhu Manu is asking Lord Brahma to give him direction for execution of duty within their working capacity. Sometimes devotees get into anxiety because what they've been asked to do is over their heads. I've been in situations like that, meet and argue. Something I don't know how to do, but I've also been requested by the spiritual master to do it. In that case, you don't say, I won't do the service, because you don't disobey Guru. But later on, Bhakti Maharaj explained to me, he was aware he was aware of the fact that I did not know everything or had the expertise in some of the services that he had asked me to do. I was living with him at that time, same place. So I was a direct servant. Then he told me one thing that I've kept in the back of my mind up to this time. When he says do service, you get it done. You make sure it's done. That's all that they require. Make sure it's done. So that puts us in three categories. One, we can do it because we know how to do it. Then we do it to the best of our ability. Two, we don't know how to do it, but it doesn't take long to learn how to do it. So we, for a short while, get into learning how to and then applying what we've learned to do the service. And the third point is we don't know how to do the service, and it's not a matter of learning it in a short period of time. Then what do we do? And that was the point about Jeremiah's story. He said, make sure it gets done. And that's when you can employ the services of another person, either a devotee or even a non-devotee, depending on what it is that needs to be done. Employ them to get done. So the service, in the end, has to get done. It has to get done. It can be from us. And if it's not from us, then we can learn that what to do in a short period of time. It still can be from us, or it can be from someone else, as long as the service is done. And also the other thing is, the very last thing is you report back after the service is done, that it has been done. You just don't walk away and say that. You have to tell the spiritual master or the person that asked you to do it that the service has actually been completed. So that's the ways to do it. Now, in the purport, Brahma, this is text 8, Brahma is the direct recipient of Vedic knowledge from the personality of Godhead. And anyone discharging his entrusted duties in disciplic succession from Brahma is sure to gain fame in this life and salvation in the next. Very important statement here, connected to the translation, to what Swayambhuva Manu was saying. He says, please give us your direction, telling Lord Brahma, for the execution of duty, so that we can follow it for fame in this life and progress in the next. Now, if you have a mind like the way my mind takes sometimes, you can question, why is it that Swayambhuva Manu is asking to do service for fame in this life? Service for fame, is that the motivation? Do we do things so we can get popular? The answer is, well, of course, no. But Srila Prabhupada explains this. The Swayambhuva Manu is not wrong to say for fame in this life and progress in the next. Progress is understandable. When you do service in the next life, it's a better life. So, but fame especially. And that's why Srila Prabhupada addresses it in the purport. He says, anyone discharging his duties in disciplic succession from Brahma, that includes all of us, because we're at the bottom, true enough. But when we discharge duties, any person who does that is sure to gain fame in this life and salvation in the next. So it's not like the devotees have to go looking for fame, but it is something that just comes out of doing service. We can do service in the background and nobody even know about it, but at some point, the person that is in the temple that's in front of the microphone may mention, this person did this. Let's just give, Haribos to the cooks, Haribos to this, those all in the background. Then the name comes up front. The acknowledgement comes. So that is a small level, for lack of a better word, fame, literally, because the names have been told to the congregation, to the assembly of devotees, like that. So it is, in fact, part of what happens when people do service. Yeah, there will be some acknowledgement by, not that we should look for it, we shouldn't, but there will be acknowledgement by management, someone in management, the president, vice president. They may say something like that about it. We are in the Brahma Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. And that means we're very, very fortunate, because that particular Sampradaya, the one that we're in now, takes those who are successful get the mercy of the Lord to go back to the spiritual world, but not just any part of the spiritual world, to Krishna Loka in particular. Not all sampradayas take one to the abode of Krishna, but this particular sampradaya does. So we should be very, 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 very thankful to Srila Prabhupada to put us on the path to the planet in the spiritual world that gives us such wonderful variety of relationships with Krishna. That's how fortunate we are. So that alone should be motivation to take this process very, very, very seriously. The one that we're involved in, the chanting, the hearing, and the serving, and finally staying away from being offensive from aparat. So there's 4 different things. We make sure we hear consistently, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, chant with attention, pronouncing all our words in the words in the Hare Krishna mantra distinctly. Then we don't do namabas. And finally, serving. Hearing and chanting is part of it, but there's 7 others. So we do that, offering obeisances, remembering, praying, serving the deity, becoming Krishna's friend, becoming Krishna's servant, surrendering all, Atman Nivedanam. So all of that's part of the service. And then make sure we stay away from aparat. And that would actually purify us. So as Swami Manu was putting Lord Brahma as the major or the first person in every material creation coming from him, he is the first one to instruct. And Swami Manu is asking for instruction from Lord Brahma. So as an instructing teacher, that puts Lord Brahma as the instructing guru. And the spiritual master does so much. And that is always what we do in the morning when the curtains open, when we come to Mangalati. I'm talking about Sri Guru Vastaka, the 8 texts describing the position and activities of a spiritual master. Samsara Dava Naralida Loka, Sanaya Karunya Ganaganato, Bhakta Shakaya Nagunana Vasha, Vande Guru Sri Charanara Binda. So, what's the translation for that? The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. The spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy. Now, the spiritual master is receiving benediction from the ocean of mercy means they're receiving benediction from their spiritual master, who also receives benediction from his spiritual master, and so on, until Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then an analogy is given here. Just as the cloud pours water on a forest fire to extinguish it, so the spiritual master is also delivering us, the materially affected world, by extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. This is a fact. The spiritual master is extinguishing the blazing fire of material existence. Material existence is troublesome. We all know we get into anxiety, all kinds of things happen to us from our own minds, from other living entities, and from the demigods, especially in this Kali Yuga. So the spiritual master delivers us. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such spiritual master, who is an ocean of all auspicious qualities. So that is the position of the spiritual master. He's receiving benediction. He is also helping us to get out of this material world. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. The second text, Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita, Varita Madhyam Mannasu Rasena, Romancha Kampasu Taranga Bajo, Vande Gurosi Charanarabindam. That is text number 2. The meaning, chanting the holy name, dancing in ecstasy, singing, playing musical instruments. Doing all of this, the spiritual master is always gladdened by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Hmm? So now, the spiritual master is one we have to follow because he chants the holy name, he dances in ecstasy, and we see many of our spiritual masters do that. They have their own style of dancing. It's just very wonderful to watch sometimes. Hmm? Dancing in ecstasy, singing Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hmm? Playing musical instruments, some of them do. Many of them, practically all of them, at least will play kata. Hmm? Spiritual masters always made happy by the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sometimes I just got these thoughts in Navadvip. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went out every day. How fortunate the whole Dham is to have Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers play, sing, dance, play different instruments, sing the mantra, dance, and with his height and his long arms, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, enthusing people, changing them, giving them Krishna prema, changing their mindset, changing their hearts. This is what the spiritual master does for us also. So to continue, because he's relishing the mellows of pure devotion within his mind, sometimes we see external things. His hair may stand on end, he feels quivering in the body, and tears flow from his eyes like waves. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. Now, true enough, many of us haven't seen that in our spiritual masters, but it does not mean it doesn't happen, because for the most part, what they do is try to keep that from coming outwardly or visibly to us. They can check it depending on where they are. And other times too, they don't. So tears flowing from their eyes, especially when I know about my spiritual master, and for that matter, see the Prabhupada also. When they were getting ready to leave the body, then these symptoms, because they were thinking about Krishna, it came out much more readily. Srila Prabhupada cried a lot before when he was leaving his body, connecting with Krishna. I saw my Guru Maharaj do the same thing. The last few lectures, when he was just chanting, he was crying. And of course, the person that's leading the chants, and then we also follow the same melody as they're doing. So Maharaj was chanting, and when the devotees also chant what he has chanted, then within that time that the devotees are chanting, so many tears are coming out of his body. So yes, they do feel that way, but sometimes some of the spiritual masters check it. But it's all because of ecstasy, chanting the holy name. And hopefully we can also get to the point where when we chant the holy name, become very, very ecstatic. We do have some idea of it. In the kirtan, yeah, we do get involved and start dancing some, but as the devotee grows, it comes even at a higher level. It gets more intense. So we should pray for help to get to that level. So, text 3, and I'm looking at the time now, so we probably won't be able to go through all of them. Sri Vigrahara Dana Nityananda Sringara Tan Mandira Majanadu Yuktaksha Bhaktam Chani Yunjatopi Vande Guru Sri Charanara Vindam. Maybe we'll do that and then one more and then we'll ask for questions. Spiritual master is engaged in temple worship of Sri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean the temple, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances to the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. Spiritual master is engaged in temple worship of the deities. And he also instructs his disciples to do the same. So it is by the mercy of a spiritual master that devotees get to do those services in the temple, worshiping the deity, cleaning the temple, Tandira Majanadam. Very, very, very important. All of the services are on the absolute platform. So the person that is dressing, this is a point Srila Prabhupada made twice in two different lectures I heard. The person that's dressing it, he doesn't and should not feel him or herself higher than the person that is sweeping the temple room. As far as material, the material level, yes, there are managers, and yes, there are janitors, and so on. But when it comes to the spiritual level, everything is absolute under devotional service to the Lord. So the spiritual world, or Krishna and Krishna's agents, does not, they don't look at service in terms of this one is menial and this one is not, and so no. It's all at the same level. The Prabhupada gave one example. He said, so in the spiritual world, when Radha and Krishna are seated together, and then there's an ant. Now I'll say it exactly how he said it. There's an ant. This is in the spiritual world. And a flower is thrown to the lotus feet of Krishna, and the ant kisses the lotus toe of Krishna. It's as good as the pujari. So the point he was making is all services are on the absolute platform. Doesn't matter what kind of body that soul has assumed and what he has done, as long as they're doing it in love towards Radha Krishna, it's treated the same way. So the final, it's actually 8, but we'll do only 4 today. Maybe we'll get another time. We can continue. Chatur Vidhasi Bhagavad Prasada, Swadana Triptan Hari Bhakta Sangha. Kridvaiva Tripin Vajata Sadaiva, Sadaiva, Vande Gurosi Charanarapinda. That's verse number 4, and that's the last one for this particular class. The spiritual master is always offering Krishna 4 kinds of delicious food, analyzed as that which is licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. When the spiritual master sees that the devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasada, then he is satisfied. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such spiritual master. So, nice way to end this, talk about Prasada. Different kinds. The category of those that are licked, the category of those that are chewed, the category of those that are drunk, and the category of those types of prasadam that are sucked. And you can actually affiliate different types of prasadam of how we eat it. We already know that. But the important point in this is when the spiritual master sees that devotees are satisfied by eating Bhagavad Prasad, then he is also satisfied. You usually don't think about the spiritual master not realizing that when in that way, not realizing that when we eat Bhagavad Prasadam, that the spiritual master is satisfied. Because the spiritual master has guided us not to eat just anything, but eat what is offered to the Lord. Therefore, eating Krishna Prasadam also means obeying the spiritual master, because they guided us to have that kind of diet. So if we do that, we are obeying the spiritual master, and that's why the spiritual master is also satisfied. So as we go on with the next text in Bhagavatam, Swayambhuva Manu is asking Lord Brahma to direct him. And now we know that the services that we do, as long as it is devotion service, it actually brings about, even if we're not looking for it, we get fame, and then our next life definitely gets better. And the best is the next life being one to go back to Godhead, to Krishna Loka. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So we'll stop here. And Hare Krishna, this is the time to unmute yourself and we'll share comments or ask questions or some takeaways. Hare Krishna. So anyone can unmute themselves.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice class as usual.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. It's nice to hear your voice, Mataji.
Yeah, it's very nice things you said that, but about prasadam, that whole thing you were explaining.
Mm.
It's very, very nice. Sometimes, I feel sometimes I am feeding somebody, if they are eating, enjoying prasadam, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
If it is not there at the back for me to eat or anything, but I love that if somebody is enjoying the prasadam.
Yes.
So
And
that is one thing, Prabhu. Any time if we cook or we feed, that other person enjoys, that is the most happiest thing for.
speaking about that, it was this past Friday, Balaram Jayanti,
Yeah, yeah.
and we had a program in Harrisburg, which I'm sure you had in Philadelphia also. But quite frankly, I would say like it is, about half the congregation showed up that they normally come, that compared to people that come on Sundays. And so the program was very, very nice. Yeah, Abhishek, Pushpa Abhishek.
Yeah. In our temple also, it's a huge crowd.
Good.
Yeah,
You got a lot
of
more people.
most
That's what.
people turn out nowadays.
Yeah,
But
I
it
was
was
surprised, but
working day, people coming like that.
yeah,
It was really surprising.
it was Friday evening though. Well, you
Yeah,
had yours on Friday, right?
yeah,
Friday,
yeah,
but
Friday.
yeah. So that's usually the end of
No,
the
we
week for
went
those
on
who.
Wednesday or something. Balram Jayanti day we went. Yeah, Friday. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had a Friday. Now during there was Julian Yatra during the week.
Yeah, Julian Yatra.
Yeah, and then there's swinging of the deities.
But
Yeah.
it was, everybody enjoyed the prasadam and everything was.
You just took right out of my mouth because the prasadam in Harrisburg was also very wonderful. And I was sitting next to that was the point I wanted to make. I was sitting next to one of the devotees that's been there for quite a while from Reading. And then I just said, "Woo." So we had about half the congregation coming. They don't have any idea how wonderful the prasadam was that they've missed.
Yeah.
I was making that comment and said, "Oh, you know, I would take extras, we take some home, but this is excellent prasadam. Everything was delicious.
Very
Mhm.
good.
That's the mercy of Lord Balaram. We
Yeah.
very, very
And
wonderful.
our Lord Krishna and Jagannath, everybody looked so beautiful
Mm.
and beautifully decorated. It was very good.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much for your comments. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thanks
Anyone
for your
else?
nice class.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. Damn. Any other comments? I know normally I'm looking at it, people who usually have something to say, but I'm not pushing, but if you don't, then we can end also.
Mm.
Any final comments from anyone? Okay, well, we stopped at 4. We did half of the verses, the 8 verses for Guru Vastaka, but we did 4. Now, at least, I know one of my takeaways from it itself is that although by the mercy of Guru, we were able to explain,
Yeah,
but
that was
having
nice.
Prashadam, yeah. Go ahead, Mother.
That was good. In Guru Ashram, you explained everything.
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy.
Yeah. See, we sing that, most of the people. But for us and for me, now I know a little bit Sanskrit, so I can understand that. Most of them, they need the explanation.
Yeah. It's wonderful situations here. Spiritual master is helping us to grow. The first one. Delivering us from this blazing fire of material existence, so much anxiety and all of that. Delivering it from us. And then the second one says, he chants in ecstasy. He relishes the mellows, pure devotion. Sometimes we see external symptoms of it. And then the third one says, engage in temple worship. He does it, and he also encourages disciples to do the same thing, to dress the deities, clean the temple, perform other similar services. And then the fourth one is about prashadam, different kinds, the one that's licked, chewed, drunk, and sucked. And then The one thing that me, including myself, and I don't know how many other devotees, that we haven't thought of it, that when we eat prasadam, the spiritual master, whether he's there physically or not, he's satisfied because the spiritual master has directed us to change our diet from regular eating anything, where Krishna says it's sin if we eat just anything, to Bhagavad Prasad. But he's satisfied that we also have the honor Bhagavad Prasad. So I think it's worthy to actually continue the rest 5 to 8 next time. I think, yeah, we'll bring it up. No matter what it is, it has to continue. So that we have a general meaning of the entire thing that we are saying in the morning with Sri Vivastaka. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Right. Thank you, dear devotees. So we'll stop here unless someone wants to make other comments. If not, you can interrupt and do that. If not, then we'll stop. Thank you all for coming on. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Vipasanivevacha Patitanam
Patitanam pavanebhyo
Pavanevyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavevyo
namo
Namo
namo.
Namah. Shri Prabhupada
Ki
ki
jai.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
very much, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Bhakti Devi
Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Thank you,
Jai.
Prabhuji, for your
Hare
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare.
help.
Mm.